So first of all, when you're ready to invest, I would love for you to consider Memphis because a lot of realtors consider Memphis because of the rent ratio, because of the cost of living, because we have a large pool of renters, and because you can get a brick 3-2 for a reasonable price. So when I first started buying houses, I'll tell you, my first house was $65,000 and the rent was $700. So couldn't beat that. I got a 15-year mortgage because then the interest rates were a lot better. So what I did then is not what I would suggest today. So I'll tell you what I did then, and then I'll tell you what I suggest today. What I did then was I put 25% down. The house is $65,000. I put 25% down on a 15-year mortgage, and I made sure that my mortgage payment was 50% of what my rent would be. And at that time, that meant the mortgage payment would be like $350, which I think around that time it was. My taxes were also very low. Memphis's taxes are very low. And so my rent was $700. And so then what I did was I had a little bit of a nest egg. So I put like $3,000 or $4,000 in a rental savings account exclusively for this house, exclusively in the event that there were, oh my God, there's so many cars out today. Exclusively in the event that there were repairs needed, so it wouldn't be upside down. My plan was to take the entire rent amount and put it toward the mortgage payment, and that's what I did. So this way of buying properties was a long-term plan for me, and it turned out well. So every year, I would take the $700 in rent, and I would put it towards the $350 mortgage payment. Well, what was I doing? I was actually shaving off the total mortgage term by doing that. So I ended up paying that house off in just under 7 years, I think, because I think at some points I put a little bit more than double. Anyway, that tenant, and then as I'm building my rental savings account, I'm saving up for the second 25% down to buy a second property. And I saved that money in a year and was able to buy a second property, which happened to be the next door neighbor's house. And I think I paid $70,000 for it. And I did the same thing, put 25% down, 15-year mortgage, also rented it for $700 or $750, and repeated that process with mortgage 2. And so, hold on, there's way too, jeez, I mean, traffic is so stupid right now. Anyway, so I have mortgage number 1 at $750 rent, and mortgage 2 about the same, also paying $750, something like that. So in about 7 years, those mortgages are paid off, and I take the rent from number 1 and the rent from number 2, and I use that to save for property number 3. And so between their rent and my down payment savings, I was able to buy property 3, and then rent number 1, rent number 2, and rent number 3 all go to mortgage number 3. And that's kind of how that works. I think it's kind of similar to like the Dave Ramsey plan to pay off bills, but that worked for me. I was taught that method way back in the day whenever I was ready, and it's worked out really well for me. Don't overextend myself. But today I'm under contract on a property, and I counsel others to buy property in Memphis, maybe not necessarily with that 50% mortgage to rent ratio, but pretty close. And you're also able to find deals. So the one deal that I just found was in the area that I primarily buy in, the zip code that I primarily buy in. It was listed for $155,000. It was on the market for a while. I made an offer of $145,000, sight unseen. We do inspections on Monday. They accepted the offer. I also did my due diligence and found out the ages of the roof and the HVAC beforehand, just so I knew what I was dealing with. There is a long-term tenant in place for $1,670. So I'm cool with that. So when I put my 25% down on the $145,000, I think I'll put about $45,000 down with like closing costs and all that stuff. So I'll figure out what it is. 25. Well, I mean, it'd be, let's say I put like 25,000. I don't know, 25 or 30. My loan officer will tell me. And so the balance will be just over 100,000, and that payment would be probably right at $1,000, but I'll be making $670 a month. So that's good for me. And the plan is to take all of my mortgage-free rents, and put that to this new property so that I'll be paying about a lot of money. I'll be paying several $1,000s a month towards this mortgage, and then it'll be paid off soon. And the reason why I paid off my mortgages is interest rates are pretty high right now. When I first started buying, I think they were at 5, and they're at 7 now. And I don't really care. And why don't I care? Let's just talk about that. Why don't I care about the interest rate when I'm buying investments? Because the tenant's going to pay off the mortgage, and my interest is tax deductible. So if the margins work, you should still do it. And so I don't really care because I know I'm going to pay off my mortgage early. So I'll take the tax write-off on the interest for 6 years, 5 or 6 years, until the mortgage is paid off, and then I don't care because then I have another mortgage-free property. So some people will tell you to do the buy, renovate, refinance, and buy again method. I don't really like that method. I think it ties you to the bank. So my method is to create independent wealth and extra streams of wealth for the people that I work with. So yes, it's a very long-term plan. It's not a short fix, but at the end of, if I don't buy any more properties, at the end of 7 years, I'll have 13 mortgages free and clear and a portfolio worth 6 figures. So I'll be really happy about 5, 6. That's not 6 figures. Hold on. I don't know. I think it'll be like 2 million. So it's not a whole lot of money, but for me and the single mom self, I think it is. So hope this helps. I guess the point to all of that is you should know what your total out-of-pocket investment is. So for each property, I put between 12. Well, one property I got for $40,000. So between $10,000 and $30,000 down. So you can do the math on that. So if I have an investment portfolio worth $2-ish million, and I had bought 13 properties, and I put between $10,000 and $20,000 down, I think that's a pretty good investment. So to me, real estate will always be the best investment one could possibly make, because I think the S&P, on average, that's the 500 best stocks that you can invest into. I think the S&P gives you, 10% on average. I don't know. Real estate's a lot more stable for me. So hope this helps.